in 4 or 5 years. Do they even worry with the transcript? Or they're getting in the portal if they play for Miami or Indiana, and semesters are 2 or 3 weeks into the semester now, and they're just going to hop around to what school. So it's really a joke. All of it's a joke. But I don't necessarily blame Nate Oates for trying to get this guy eligible to play.
All right, I'm going to lay something out here. In the past, when you were in college, if you were getting paid by a baseball farm team, you could come back and play football. You just couldn't play, I guess, in the sport that you were getting paid in, if I'm not mistaken.
Chris Winkie is a perfect example. There are others, yeah.
St. Paul, Minnesota native Chris Winkie was 29 when he finished at Florida State. 29 years of age, folks. So you go back and you look. I think the precedent and everything, when you look in a lawyer's office, Perry Mason, you look in there's all those legal books. It's all legal precedent. You go in there and you look up cases and you study prior cases. Then it's about, you have instructionalists. We have, Anthony Scalia, former Supreme Court justice, rest his soul, looked at the Constitution. Other people think it's a living and breathing document. Baseball is why we are in where we are. You think about guys, they go for 6 years and they go, I'm going back to college, but they go play football. But they don't go back and play baseball. Now this is weird. They were playing because of NIL. They have to say, well, when he came out, was NIL? It was 3 years ago. We had NIL. So they're going to say legally, I'm just pontificating here. They can say, well, you were not getting paid, and you were not getting paid, but now you are. I mean, it is really crazy. But I think that's the precedent that they're looking at, Matt Dean.
Well, I don't. Listen, if he's ruled ineligible, he's ruled ineligible. Nothing I can do about it. I mean, I don't care. I honestly, I don't care one way or the other.
Yeah.
I mean, if you play Saturday night and they come back and later say, and Alabama wins the game, they're still going to take that win. So yeah, there's no guarantee that he's going to play. But I'm just saying, my point's the bigger picture. For people acting like they're upset that this is happening, what did you expect? That's what I've been saying the whole time. Once the genie's out of the bottle, I've said on your show, Rob, it's only a matter of time before an established NBA player or an established NFL player that washed out. Maybe it's an NFL quarterback on a rookie contract who never played much, and he decides he wants to go back to college and he's got eligibility left.
Yeah.
This is what we've opened this up to. Yeah. And, I will say this for the NCAA. People are saying, grow a pair and all this kind of stuff. Well, can't do it now. I mean, you strip them of all their authority. I mean, so I guess they're doing the best that they can. And maybe they are responsible for this. Maybe if they'd have got out in front of this, although I have always said, if 15 years ago, this is where we were always headed with this. And the reason I say that is, even if 15, 20 years ago, you had the NCAA said, hey, we want to get out, we want to put something in revenue share or this. Somewhere along the line, if a kid was making $200,000, there was going to be somebody in his ear saying, you deserve a lot more than that. You should be making a lot more than that. And they would have pushed the envelope. This was always where this was going. So I'm not here to argue whether Charles Bediako should be eligible or not. Not out of my wheelhouse.
Yeah.
But I am saying that the fact that we're here and now people are acting like they're upset that we're here is a joke to me.
Yeah.
This is where this was headed from the time we said, hey, we're going to start paying these guys NIL. And some of these schools, Texas Tech, Indiana, Vanderbilt, Ole Miss, that have benefited from it. I really kind of appreciate the stance that Texas Tech with Cody Campbell has taken. When they were talking about revenue share, well, yeah, we'll pay that, but we're not going to stop paying players. We want to win. We're going to still pay NIL. And you had some ADs running around saying, well, this is going to give us some guardrails. And, so what? You're paying $20.5 million rev share. As long as you're allowed to pay these guys, people are going to pay them because they want to win. And now people see what can happen to programs that aren't traditional winners in football and men's basketball. They've got a chance. And so for the blue blood programs, whether it's Kentucky in basketball or Alabama in football, this probably is not ideal because all the advantages that they had pre-NIL and pre-portal are gone. So they're trying to adjust to those. So again, I don't know what's going to happen with the guy. I assume, based on what Oates told the Field of 68 podcast last night, that they're going to play him on Saturday night, which I agree with. And I'll tell you why. We were going back and forth about this in the TV station yesterday. Some of those, my student interns were saying, well, they better not play him. Of course they're going to play him. You don't put this in motion like this. And then if you sit him out, it looks like, well, maybe you're not sure he should play. Of course, they're all in now. They've gone all in with Charles Bediako. They're going to play the guy on Saturday night, and they're going to see what happens next week in that hearing.
Yeah.
Well, hey guys, what about the agents? I think we missed the agents, the Jimmy Sexton. Well, how about Jimmy Sexton? I'm just kidding. But the opportunity, I talked all day, it creates such an opportunity to, like what Gary was saying, the $200,000, you're worth more than that. Somebody is that voice in their ear, and that somebody is wanting to make a little bit of a cut. They are making a lot more than the average agent, if I'm correct. I don't know that Rob has better, I think 7% to 12% or something, but the opportunity is crazy. I feel like the agents, we could at least start there. No?
Oh, no doubt. I mean, they're the ones pushing this. Listen, as I've said before too on my show, probably on here as well, there's a lot of smart people, and I don't know if John's still listening to us or not, but a lot of these ADs, school presidents, trustees, board of regents, all this, but everyone has been leveraged by the parents, the agents, the uncles, the kids themselves, as I said, the player. I mean, they've gotten bullied, so to speak, and there's not anything they can do about it. But no, there's, and again, I've given up on, well, somebody needs to do something. Well, who's somebody and what are they going to do? I've been saying, I've given up on it. This is the system that we have. And as long as it sustains itself, it's going to continue. So yeah, there's always going to be people wanting more and more and more and more and more. And you don't think that they're going to pay this. Again, I remember people saying, well, they'll never pay a quarterback $2 million. $2 million is a bargain now.
Yeah.
You're talking about Bediako, but look at the situation at Duke with their quarterback. Just signed a new contract. And Miami realizes, hey, we don't have a quarterback for next year. Or some of these schools do. So the deal that was put together for him, mind-boggling. I'm reading $10 million. I'm reading scholarship for the sister. I'm reading, country club memberships. I'm reading all of this stuff. And there's no end to it. So again, my point is, if you said this was what it was going to be and you're happy about it, that's fine. But for all of the national analysts who sat up there and said this was going to be, this would never come to this, and it never would be this, and it was going to be, reason, and the market would level off. And I think you said this, Rob. The market always levels off. Well, when's it going to level off? Okay, you're the financial guy. This would level off and it would adjust itself. Yeah, it's adjusted itself. What, we're going to start paying $12 million next year for a quarterback? I mean, I don't see it ending. And the answer always is, for people who want to prop this stuff up, is, well, the ratings are higher than they've ever been. More people are. Yeah, they are. It's still great entertainment. There's still drama. But does that mean it's healthy necessarily? No. I don't think just high ratings mean it's necessarily healthy. So all this stuff that people predicted about how it was going to level off and it was going to police itself, I'll ask you, Rob, when's that going to happen?
Well, markets do level off once enough people get burned. And we're getting close to that when you're pumping $4, $5, $6 million, like the quarterback from Duke who's leaving after he signed a contract. You cannot do that. I've had contracts, your head's on a chopping block. Okay. You leave after 1 year on a 5-year deal, you owe 80% of the upfront money you were given within 60 business days. No questions asked. It's not even up for debate. It's like passing the Series 7. You got to get a 72, which means out of 250 questions, you got to get 200 and 181 of them right or whatever. It doesn't. There's no gray area. You can't get a 69.9. What we've done is the virus opened up so many doors. I tell you, the guy that threw a fit, had a temper tantrum, was Justin Fields, quarterback, who was it, from Kennesaw, Georgia, signed with Georgia, couldn't beat out Jake Fromm, threw a fit, and they gave him eligibility immediately to go to Ohio State.
Right.
We have got to quit caving. I've got kids, 4 of them. When you start caving to your kids, you're nothing but I almost said it, an enabler, okay? You can't do it. Now, here's where we're going. I like what Kelly Leak is, a smart guy. He said, powers that be are allowing this to explode. And in chaos, they will fix it. I think sometimes it's like when you have a controlled burn and you light fire to wipe out the other one. I think they know what's going to happen. And they're going, see, we told you, but we had to let it play out. That's what markets do. Go back in the last 60 years. Every time
that makes some sense there, Rob. That that's kind of my feeling. You said it in a more financial terms, but I do feel like it's going to sustain itself until it can't. Like you said, it blows up, and I guess that is where we're at now. It just has to blow. And another thing, and you guys can speak to this. I mean, I'm a little passionate about this because I'm no legal scholar. I'm not a person that studies this the way some people do, but I just heard a lot of smart people say that this would never be what it was about. And this is where it was headed from day. This was a pay for play the minute they opened up. It was never going to be again about, guys picking up $2 or $3 grand a month, promoting some product on social media. But here's the thing too, the educational aspect, like we talked about, this is a joke. I'm sorry. You can't tell me that if these young men and women were being asked to be regular students, that you could be eligible doing what they're doing. I mean,
no way.
It's sometimes 2 or 3 schools in a year, and something else too. That's gonna. What about all the guys that went in the portal in football that didn't get a team? What about that? There's a lot of them in there. They overvalue themselves, and now they don't have a school or a team. And what about all the high school kids that are going to start getting bumped because of the per pool out of for basketball out of Europe and the pros, and in college football, giving these guys, letting them play until they're 25 and 26 years, 27 years old. The Finley, the quarterback, now what's he on his seventh? So there's going to be residual too. And all of these people that are happy now about the opportunity to make money. And then something y'all might have talked about. I think I might have heard you say something about gambling.
We're talking about
when you're not in the big money schools and you're not a high NIL guy, you're probably jealous and you're wanting to get paid. How easy is it to reach out to these guys at the lower level schools and say, listen, I'm not asking you to throw a game. I'm just asking you, if you're over under 13.5 points tonight and you get to 11 points, you got to tell coach you got a tight hamstring. I mean, we know about the ones that have been exposed. What about the ones that are doing it and we don't know about it?
I just blow it in the second quarter.
So, I mean, the whole thing to some degree is just becoming rotten. But you know what? The TV ratings are good. So it's all one big happy family.
And this is
going to be WWF before it's going to be wrestling. I think.
Yeah, it's going to be, it's a joke. I mean, the NCAA has no balls. They're feckless and spineless. They have given up. They've ceded. They've abdicated. They're acquiescing and capitulating to everything that is being asked for. Matt, I'm going to tell you something. Talk about student athletes. Division 1, 2, 3. Again, it doesn't matter. But I was out at a Christmas party my friend Tripp and Margaret Mongers go to every year, some of my best and oldest friends. And Tim Deaton's always there. Tim played college football at Rhodes College with Bill Lansden. And those guys, Gary, we're all the same age. They all get together. I mean, they're all still very close. And that was D3. Jan Cowart, my friend, great architect, lives down in Fairhope. He's from over in the Black Belt in Selma. Great architect and does sports architecture all over the country.
Good football player.
Yeah, 4-year walk-on. My dad's hero, architecture, 4-year starter. He said, we had a reunion of the 83 Auburn team down on the field at the Mercer game. And he was on like Thursday before that game. He goes, with the way the portal is today, if we did something like that, there might be 300 or 400 guys there. Like, what you hear for a semester? He goes, but the guys that I fought all this, went through this, are the closest friends in my life. We're godparents. We're in each other's weddings and all. And I think about my friend Wesley Britt, who played at Alabama. You get curveballs. Wesley's room was orange and blue growing up in Coleman, Alabama. Auburn fan since birth. 2 weeks before signing date, hey, we don't have a spot for you. He goes to Alabama. It worked out. 5 years in the NFL. God dang it, sometimes you're going to get kicked in the swimsuit area, Matt Dean. Yeah. You got things go wrong in a game, coach. What do you tell your players? Hey, quit?
Well, the first thing I would say today is I've been on this show with Gary for several years now, a lot of respect, and he's always spot on eligibility. So first thing I would do is I'd make Gary Harris the eligibility czar, and we're going to we're going to make it 5 years. If you blow out your knee, we'll give you the 6th. We're going to be very consistent. Secondly, I'm going to change the calendar. Week 0, now everybody's freaking playing.
Right.
I'm going to keep the conference championships because I think there's too much money and too much
There
debate.
is.
And then on January 1, I'm going to play two games, semifinals. All right. I'm also going to 16 because we don't need buys.
Yeah.
And then on January 8th or 9th, I have the championship. And then 48 hours later, I open the portal. So you can't be surfing the portal while the playoffs are going on. And then after that, if you're unfortunate enough to be in the title game, yeah, you got to scramble a little bit, but you just played the title game. But we got to fix eligibility. We got to fix the calendar. Here's another thing I learned recently that's just crazy.
Correct.
The high school kids, the exploitation of these Asians that don't need certification. I know someone personally that has an agency that they are getting 20% from a kid, and this kid now has access to their training facilities, their trainers. So they're providing like this whole amount of services. The kid's not even played it down in college football. It's amazing what's going on, and we don't talk about it. We can't have any guardrails on it. I'm beginning to think it's better off if I have an uncle that has my best interest, because maybe they're not taking 20% or whatever the number is.
Right.
It's madness. And you know what? The Alabama student athlete, here's the thing. There's no more amateurism. So if this kid's got eligibility left and Gary Harris says he's got eligibility, he can come back and freaking play, and for money. That's simple, in my opinion. That's where I'm at with this whole stuff.
Yeah, I agree with a lot Matt said there. And something else, too, that's getting lost in this, I think, is just the traditional structure of what you go to college for. And again, I hate to be that guy because I'm not. Listen, I want everybody to do as well as they can in life. We're all trying to do that. But this idea that what does this do for these young men and women that we grew up at a time where, you went to college to better yourself, or even if you didn't go to college, you worked understanding that you're working toward a goal of financial stability on the back end. Now you've got, you said, starting high school. Let's be honest, it's starting high school.
Yeah.
Well, how do these people adjust if they're paid these millions of dollars when they're 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22 years old? Then they don't make it in the pros. They don't. Yeah, I guess, most of them will have a degree because it seems like you get, it's diploma mills. Now it's what it's become. But at the same time, how do you adjust to going out into the real world and suddenly having to work a job where hopefully you take care of your money? Because I think that they're going to be warped into thinking life is easy, and it's not. And we're not teaching them the traditional structure of how you work toward a goal. They're getting all this money. Many of them are going to be done with sports when they're 23 or 24 years old. Good luck trying to get them excited about working a job for $50,000 a year.
Yeah.
I mean,
Matt, hey, listen,
that's
Gary,
not the way the system is supposed to work. This is not what college athletics is supposed to be. I'm sorry. It's not the design. And Barry banging on the window.
Time to go.
Barry Sanderson is Wimp. No, Wimp's on the beach, isn't he?
Well, Wimp moved back to Tuscaloosa, but he doesn't come into the studio.
Does he not have one of the great names in all of sports? Winifred E. Wimp Sanderson. Of course, my grandfather's name was Greenfield, and his brother's name was Cadwallader. You take your pick.
Yeah, but I'll wrap it up with this. I just think that, again, we went from having a speed limit to just, go as fast as you can go
I know.
Overnight. And it's just everything's out of whack, in my opinion. So we're having to deal with this. But I don't want people acting like they're shocked by this, because you shouldn't be shocked, is my point. And again, I think it's only a matter of time. Charles Bediako might have played in the G League. You might have some guys that played, AA baseball, whatever it is. But you're going to have it's coming. You're going to have an NFL player who was on a rookie deal, gets released, and argues, I've got eligibility left. And like Matt said, maybe once you got eligibility, you should come back. But I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen with any of it, but I know this is not the end. And Rob, I hope you're right. I hope at some point, once it blows up, then we can start over and we can put some rules in place, because there are none now, or the ones that are there don't really matter.
Yeah. And use common sense. Eligibilities are Gary Harris. Tied 100.9.
All right, thanks, guys.
Thanks, Gary.
Gary.
Hey, Matt, here's the problem. I know people that are managers or over people at work, and before they go to work in the morning, their phone is filled with text of all these people's excuses why they can't get their ass to work.
Yeah.
Okay, that is where this is going to lead to. These people will be unemployable. Okay, Brendan.
I just want to say that I as much as I'm 52 next month, and I agree with everything everyone's saying, Yes, 52 next month. Nice,
You're
nice,
young.
shocking look, Matt Dean. Thank you so much for that. Yes, 52. It's just using a lot of Botox. No. But like I have a 13-year-old daughter, and I raise her alone. I full-time. Full-time dad, and I love it. But looking ahead, right? Because you're all dads, we're all dads. I'm more of a, I'm always looking at the future, what it's going to bring. And we are talking about AI, and we're talking about the history of college. We're talking all these things. It's a bigger conversation, but I really, really feel like that, like college athletics and athletics as a whole is always indicative of what's going on in our social environment. What's happening in our world. And what's happening in our world is changing. Our world is changing at a rapid pace. And for everyone doesn't know, the next 5 years is going to feel like the last 50 years in technology, right? With AI and everything that's going on, our tech is going to boom in the next 5 years like the last 50. So we're going to see a shift in everything. And I think this is also a part of it, because there's not going to be a lot of jobs. All of those things are changing. So these kids are going to have to change, and they don't know what the hell's going on either. So they're scared too. Yeah. So a lot of these things are I think a little bit more psychologically driven, and I think everyone's wondering. So everyone's trying to make hay today,
Well, they are. It's always darkest before dawn. Remember some of the toughest times you've been through in your life. What gets you through them is remembering how you fought through previous battles. And nobody's perfect. I mean, my kids, thank God, they're all financially independent. All four, and teach children how to work. And what's happening is, of course, if we were 19 and someone offered us $1 million, we'd be all over it. But sometimes too much of a good thing isn't a great thing. You ever work in a pizza stand or hot dog deal? You eat hot dogs every night for the first week, and then you can't stand hot dogs.
No, I haven't done that, Rob.
Well, I did. I worked at the pizza stand with Doc Spreckelmeyer at Tim McCarver Stadium. The first 3 or 4 nights, I ate pizza, and the beer thing was next to us. After the first 4 nights, they took the beer thing away from us, and all we could do was eat pizza, and that got old. Look, I think where we're going, we better figure it out real soon. Great discussion today. John Hartwell had a bad connection. He's a pro, quality control, and we'll get him back on next week. He's moving right now. Landers Ford, Memphis.com, Poplar and Houston Levy. Also the new location there at Mount Moriah and 240, Matt, the old Dobbs Ford location. Yes. We all grew up with them. They're back. Landers Ford, Memphis, open every day of the week except Sunday. Ask for GM Brad Bellamy, the best people, car, truck, and SUV business. Get out there and see them. Okay. Hey, they're right down the street from our good friends at Hewlett & Dunn Boot and Clothing Company on the historic square in Collierville, Tennessee. Filson, Barber, SDS. They got all your boots, gear, everything you need. Get out there, HewlettandDunn.com. They ship anywhere. Rumble Boxing, how you fight's how you live. And also, HempForPros.com. You got aches and pains, you can't sleep. Get these gummies. They absolutely work. Hey, most often we see the face of Christ in the least. Great show today for executive producer Rob Browne. I'm Brendan Martin. It's Rob Browne saying, have a great day, everybody. Bundle up. You're going to need to.
See you, Matt Dean.
See you. You guys. Good, Brendan.